What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be doing a little overview of my cam swap for my 6.2 Gen V LT1. It's not going to be really like an install video because I don't know what I'm doing. Just going to be like the process of what I'm doing and how it's going, or some clips of it. This video is a little out of sequence because I'm actually pretty much done. I got to put the valve covers back on, put the timing cover on, and the oil pan, and just torque everything down. So, yeah, check it out. I had a problem getting the crankshaft bolt out. This guy right here, big problem. Did not want to come out. About an hour of impacting it between the air gun and the electric gun, and it just did not want to come out. We sprayed some PB Blaster on it. I actually went to go buy a different impact gun, and by the time I came back, I was like, you know what, while the other impact gun was charging, I was like, let me just hit it one more time with my impact, and it came loose, no problem. So sometimes you gotta let that penetrating oil just work. But as far as the motor goes, it's not at top dead center yet. I tried to make sure it was before, but I had some misinformation. This timing mark actually has to be facing down, lined up with the other timing mark on the crankshaft gear that's behind the oil pump here. So I had put the valve covers back on just because I didn't want the motor completely open all night when I, took a rest yesterday. So those are just sitting there. And yeah, so we're gonna get that lined up. I'm gonna make a little bracket that lines up the oil pump so I know exactly where it goes. All right, so it only took me about 20 minutes to make my own oil pump alignment brackets that bolt onto the front of the motor. I saved about $80 by doing this myself. You can buy them, I just didn't want to wait. They do their job, they serve their purpose. I'm not worried about it. Do you need them? Probably not. I just did them to be safe. So on to the next step. We can start taking the oil pump off, and I can take the heads off and work from there. All right, so off camera, I went ahead and I took the heads off. I took the rockers out, push rods, everything like that. We took the oil pump off, and we just got the cam out, which I'll show you the next clip right here. So what's next is we're gonna put the new cam back in, drop the fuel pump lifter in the top back in, start putting the lifters in. Then we're gonna work on the heads doing the valve springs. All right, so the new cam is in. We got the cam retainer plate, or whatever you want to call that, back onto the motor. You can see there, nice and lubed up. So the next step is we're gonna find out if there's any torque specs for these. I'm not sure. And then we're going to start working on the heads, which are over there. Yesterday, I started working on the cam phaser, and what happened was there's 5 little torque screws, you'll see here in a minute, and they're supposed to be 11 foot-pounds from factory. Well, when I went to go take them off, it's a T25 bit, one of them stripped. So I got 3 out of the 5 off and 1 stripped. So got frustrated, I put it down, and I went over to the heads. So I was working on the heads, and the valve spring tool I bought just, I guess, was the wrong tool. And I went to Advanced Auto and I bought a different tool. That tool didn't work either. So I kind of like researched a little bit, looked on YouTube. People are making their own. I ended up keeping the base of the tool that I bought on Amazon for the valve spring compressor and the part that actually compresses the valve springs. I cut up a C-clamp and I just made it work. Is it the best way? Probably not. Should just buy the tool, but I don't want to wait. If it works, it works, right? So here we are.
Because that was the one that was supposed to stay.
All right, so that required me to push the valve up from the bottom just to release those locks there. So. And you gotta just take off the seals on the bottom. dip them in oil, place them back on, seat themselves, take 2 new springs, all right, so there's a lot of movement. So basically I picked these up from the bottom again, so you can see where it locks in there. So basically I'm gonna reuse these. I'm gonna go back in and get locked. So I know I said I reused the bottom plate, but it actually wound up bending on me and twisting. I actually don't even know where it is to show you, but if I find it, you'll see a clip in there. So I made my own plate, just drilled out 2 holes. I'm not really sure what thickness this is. It's just whatever I have laying around the garage. And it's the same for the rest. So the only thing from the other tool I used is this aluminum spacer and the original block and the screws. So basically you're gonna compress it, and you gotta make sure they're kind of like in the center, otherwise those locks won't go into place. And then you release the tension, or you release the spring, and then they just show you. Alright, so now pretty much they're gonna seat it in there. And this, I'm just there you go. And that's pretty much it. Locked into place. So now that the lifters are in, basically you want to slide it in there, and it should go in pretty easily. That's pretty much it. So I'm actually going to end up ending the video here with just these couple of things to button up: the valve covers, the timing chain cover, and the oil pan. I ran into a little problem with the cam actuator. You put the little lockout inside of it for when you're changing the cam on these motors. And the first one I stripped the screw on, I think I mentioned that earlier. The second one was making a really loud clicking noise that I wasn't a fan of. And I had to wait for GM to order the third one. So it got here, it's in. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The install went pretty good. So yeah, the next video, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna be doing next. Probably some cutting and grinding. I gotta put the brackets on my rear Curry 70 for the Genright suspension. So it's either gonna be that or painting the chassis or something along those lines. Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed the video.